So let's have a look, and we're going to use One News and News Hub as a place to get a bunch of information from. They've done a pretty good job reporting on this today. Here is the story from One News tonight, the headline story about what's happening with the national tax policies today.
More money in your pocket. That's National's promise with its new tax policy and what it hopes is a winning election strategy. But Labor's dismissing it as a fantasy plan. Let's break it down. Under National, the party says an average income household with kids would get a $250 increase per fortnight.
Okay, so I'm furious that the mainstream media is selling National Party talking points.
Yep.
The mainstream media is talking about what you're getting a fortnight. Now, let's be very clear. What this has done, right? This has gone a working couple at $50 a week, which is hard to get to actually. It's more like 40, right? As Nicola Willis tells us later on, it's $40 a week. So a working couple at $40 a week. Add in there some new tax credits, because if you've got kids, get to $125, double it, and say, look, it's $250 a fortnight. The minimum wage people, which we'll see at the moment, are getting $20 a fortnight. Why is the media not saying it's $10 a week? Why is the media picking up on the National Party narrative and helping them make it sound better than it is? TVNZ did it and TV3 did it. They did the fortnight thing. So National's being very clever here. They've taken all of their amounts, they've doubled them to make them look more impressive, and then they said a fortnight. I don't know why the fuck they didn't say $500 a month. That would have been even better still, but they decided fortnight is the way to go. And I'm ropeable with the mainstream media that they're just helping the National Party further this conversation, which may be accurate, but they're using some very clever narratives to make it look more impressive than it really is. Remember, be aware though, and we can see this later on in some stuff I show you, they're saying up to $250. That doesn't come out very much in the mainstream media either.
That's an old marketing trick, that is.
Yeah, of course. Based on a true story. So I'm really annoyed that everyone's talking about this in fortnight terms, because what it's doing is helping National sell the narrative that their tax cuts are bigger than they are. We'll just play what they are first of all, then I'll say one more thing about the retirees.
An average household with no kids, an additional $100, and a superannuitant couple
fortnight.
up to $26 a fortnight.
So think about it this way: that superannuitant couple, that's $26 a fortnight. That's for two people. That's $13 a week. That's $6.50 per person per week. So National's done well in their positioning by saying it's $26 a fortnight. If I was to say it's $6.50 per person per week, you'd be like, well, that's fucking nothing. Who cares about that? And I'm annoyed that no one's really, well, I can't say no one. I haven't seen anyone pointing it out yet. Retirees, you're getting $6 each a week. Yet mainstream media is just picking up and running with how National has sold this. So they're helping their narrative. I'm not saying it's inaccurate. I'm just saying they're helping them make it sound more impressive and larger than it really is.
Looking at individuals, a median income full-time worker, National says on $60,000 would receive a $50 boost per fortnight, and a full-time minimum wage worker, $20.
$10 a week.
It expects to deliver this with a combination of measures, including shifting tax brackets and expanding tax credits to reach more modest earners. The cost, $14.6 billion over 4 years. For analysis on how it's going to be paid for and how the announcement hit with 6 weeks until voting day, we'll be joined shortly by political editor Jessica Mackay. First, her report.
It's the biggest test in their audition to run the country, starting with something new.
Yeah, interesting, eh? Yeah.
Pitching a back pocket boost
for people who are
new
new to us tonight or are joining us. We've been saying for a long time, Luxon keeps on telling us, I'm studying today, I like today. You never hear him saying it. So Jess is right. This is completely new. I wonder if it's, the PR company has said, or I wonder if they've just made the decision. I like it. Credit where credit's due. It is new. It is new today. Because I'll tell you what, some of his voters won't like it.
This middle is being left behind.
So do these Kiwis feel squeezed?
I think everybody is, aren't they? Cost of living, food prices.
Yeah,
I'm a
not everybody.
And, I'm just making means meet.
Yeah, I think everyone pretty much is in the same position though, right?
I think every little bit helps with the cost of living increases and inflation and food prices going up.
You talk about...
I just want to say this as well. Chewy, I'm sorry. I know I'm dominating this, but we're trying to get through these videos. I remember when I was doing Talkback, right? and there was an opportunity for us to get a $10 a week tax cut. I disagree with that person that every little bit helps, because what you have to realize is what you're giving up to get. Back then, $10 a week tax cut was $1 billion out of our coffers. Now, I wasn't wealthier, and I probably was the squeezed middle. That's probably what I would have been back then. But I was of the opinion then, actually, my $10 a week to me does very little, but my $10 a week into the storehouse, into the coffers, up to $1 billion, that does quite a lot for the country. So it's really important for us to remember what we're giving up for what we're getting as well. Pensioners, your $6.50 that you're getting, what are we giving up, i.e. what comes out of the coffers that could be paying for other things to help the whole country? I'm not saying that you don't deserve your $6.50, pensioners, but and even your minimum wage workers, you're getting $10 a week. Minimum wage is about $22 an hour, so that's what 22 times 40, 22 times 7 would be 2, so it's about $900 a week. So $900 a week before tax. Let's call that $650 after tax. Now you're getting $660. So minimum wage from $650 to $660. That extra $10, is that going to do a lot more for you, or that extra $10 from all the workers making $1 or $2 billion in our coffers? Would that be better for our country? Would it be better roads in your area? You know what I'm saying? So it's not just anything's worth it. It's not, because there's always a payoff. If we take money out of the bank to buy something, we have less money in the bank for other things. That's all I'm saying, Chewy. I'm sorry, I have to give you a chance to reply, and I'm going off already. What are your thoughts?
Well, exactly. I think anytime anybody says, hey, look, there's tax cuts, you go, cool, what is it going to cost me? As you said, the pensioners get in $6 a week extra, but they have to spend more than that on bus fares now, or on doctor's appointments, or because of their big public service cuts. Is it going to take them longer to have issues processed, or to see a doctor, or to get their medical records or their results back? All of these things.
Yeah,
I'm always suspicious of anybody that says that there's a tax cut, which is why when the Greens announced theirs and they said, here's our sums, we've done our homework, and everybody kind of glossed over it in a week. I'm much more accepting of that. But yeah, what are they cut, Pat? Tell me what they cut.
Well, we'll get to that. We're actually Jenna Lynch does a little 2 minute. We're not going to watch the whole of the News Hub clip. We're playing about a 2-minute clip out of it, which what she's talking about. What's the new stuff and what's the cuts?
About the squeeze middle, are you leaving low income families behind?
Yes,
absolutely not. I mean, as you can see, full-time minimum wage workers are going to get $20 a fortnight of relief.
$10 a week.
$20 more that they would get under National than Labor. It's certainly a lot
Except
more.
We're putting
than
GST back on
carrots
fruit and veg.
beans.
I think when New Zealanders scratch below the surface, they're going to see that many families will actually be worse off under National's plan.
National's tax cuts will cost $14.6 billion over 4 years. It's planning to pay for them with $8.5 billion in savings over 4 years. For example, taking $2 billion from the public service and ditching contractors. It will also collect $6.2 billion in new revenue, for example, collecting $3 billion in a foreign buyer tax. National plans to let foreign buyers buy homes here. They'll need to cost over $2 million, and they'll pay a 15% tax.
And just remember, the average house price in Auckland is $1 million. The average house price in Queenstown is about $1 million. So a $2 million house, for many of us, maybe even for all of us watching, maybe not, but for many of us is outside what we can do. But a $2 million is only double the average house price in Auckland. And remember, there'll be some above and some below. And I have to tell you, it's hard to find a $700,000 or $800,000 house in Auckland. So it's not going to be the mean, that's for sure. It's the average. It's not going to be the middle house price. It's going to be the average house price.
At first blush, I don't hate that. Like, I don't think that's a terrible idea.
Although they're already getting in trouble thinking we have some arrangements with many countries about tax, and they might have to change it from a 15% tax to a 15% fee or levy, because we have a reciprocal thing going on. So there's still questions to come on this.
Similar to what's done in Sydney and Vancouver. Looking at
2 of the most expensive cities in the world to buy real estate. Maybe that's a contributing factor. Maybe.
Trade Me today, $2 million in Auckland isn't sprawling mansion material.
Aren't you just putting more and more pressure on the Auckland market?
No, we don't think so. Look, our modelling assumes fewer than 2,000 transactions will occur as a result of this tax.
It's a voodoo plan. It's a fantasy plan. It doesn't add up. And National do have a track record here from the last election.
it's possible for politicians to promise anything you like.
National also wants to allow landlords to claim back interest with the hope those savings will be passed on to renters.
The hope. The hope.
And sustain property owners. Keep rents low. That's going to be far beneficial for the tenants.
National says there's no borrowing and these tax cuts won't add to inflation.
Well, they will.
The leaders are in for
They can't not, because what inflation is when there's more money in the economy, right? Than what there is products to buy. If you flood the economy with money, it drives things up. It drives inflation. So giving people more money will absolutely add to inflation. Now that's not to say Labor's got the answer to that right now, but to say it won't is ridiculous. If you give people more money and they spend more money, that drives that circle of supply and demand, which drives what inflation is.
a boost too.
What are both of you getting out of this
This
policy?
made me angry.
In our family, there's 2 income earners. We'll get $80 more a fortnight. And kids, that means that instead of movie night being DVDs and tip-top at home, we might go out to the movies.
Okay. So with the greatest respect, fuck you, man. Nicola Willis is on a base salary of $206,000. Base salary.
Those numbers didn't sound right to me.
So she will, and her husband, who was on the board of a group, will easily, obviously, be in a 6-figure salary as well. Their household will easily bring in $300K plus per year. And she thinks $80 a week is going, finally, we'll be able to go to the movies with our kids when their household will be at least bringing in $300K a year, considering she's 206 minimum at the moment. This whole trying to make yourself relatable, you can also make yourself look so disingenuous. And this just makes me mad. You're on $206,000 even without a partner or anything else. You're not struggling to take the kids to the movie once a week. Trust me.
That was cosplay.
Yeah,
look at me. I'm average New Zealand. I'm the mum of 2, and I've got a golden retriever, and we go to the movies every now and then.
Yeah.
Bullshit
We call
it. National hoping it's a sweetener for undecided voters.
We'll bring in Jess. Jess, one of the major changes here is lifting the foreign buying ban. Why is that a big move?
Well, for some people, the idea of selling property to overseas buyers doesn't sit comfortably, and Labor will be able to play on that. Labor's also had a crack at National's numbers late this afternoon, saying it just won't bring in as much money as National is saying. And they say that's because of tax treaties that we have with a number of countries. It says there's huge groups of countries that 15% tax just won't apply to. Now, National have come back with a response in the last couple of minutes and said, look, Australia and Singapore are already exempt because of trade deals. They've already said that today, but they say when it comes to tax treaties, there are ways to work around that, and they are aware of that situation. The other rebuttal for National is that this foreign buyer ban was an idea from Labor to try and cool the housing market, and National says that just hasn't worked.
So National says the housing market hasn't cooled, although housing prices have dropped by 20%. How is the housing market not cooled? Like, if that's your claim, at least give us the metric for how it has not cooled. Now, Chewy, I'm going to play 2 minutes of this, and then we'll take the first pause. I'm just being aware that in about 12, 13 minutes, Bomber will be with us as well. We're not going to talk about housing stuff now, because that's one of the things I want to talk to him about. But there's quite a good little 90-second bit here from Jenna Lynch where she says what has been cut, or what will be cut, and what will be new. So have a listen to this.
Done the work cutting and taxing. On the cut side, government contractors, 20 hours free ECE for 2-year-olds, and half-price public transport gone.
We prefer to give people the money direct into their bank account.
$2.4 billion has been raided from the Climate Fund, while $2.1 billion will be spent on tax cuts for landlords, reversing the interest deductibility rules.
It's effectively trading off children's futures for money for landlords.
And here come the taxes, reinstating a tax on commercial buildings, a tax on online gambling. Migrants will be taxed more for visa processing.
It will have a major impact on our ability to get nurses, doctors, teachers, IT specialists who we all need.
Is this basically a talent tax?
Absolutely not.
But here's the biggie. Foreign house buyers are allowed back, but they'll have to pay a tax for the pleasure. National expects that to net nearly $3 billion.
I believe that this is fantasy money.
They're being validated, and I am highly confident.
Confidence radiating. Nicola Willis nearly getting a little ahead of herself.
National is the party of responsible economic management.
It's not the Labor Party's endorsement she's looking for.
Yeah, I think it would kind of help me vote for them.
It's mums like this.
Political. There we go. That's what I'm going to show you about that. True. There's a couple of other things I want to. One other thing I want to play is actually about the actual foreign house thing. What it's got to say. But let's jump into anything that's coming in. I'm going to hold my thoughts around the housing stuff until we get Bomber. But if there's chat going on right now, especially the idea around what's been said, what's going, what's staying, have at it.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a couple of nuggets that should be mentioned here. I think taxing overseas gambling websites, sure, that's a no-brainer.
Fine.
Commercial property as well, yes.
What does it mean though? I mean, I don't even know what that means yet, because all they said, because I watched them at the press conference, they just blew past it. They didn't actually give any details. Yeah. I'm not anti the idea. I want to know the details.
Yeah, absolutely, and it could very much be. We know this will play with the majority of people. We don't need to go into details. But yeah, again, we come back to the interest deductibility on landlords and stuff like that. Look, if it's an investment property, investment has risk. Essentially, you're operating a business. Business has costs. They have compliance costs. This carve out for landlords to remove all of their risk and all of their costs, because it seems it depends on whether you're asking them whether it's a business or an investment, or suddenly if you change the conversation, but I'm providing a service. It's one or the other. Like pick one. Because at the rents that they're charging, it's not a service, it's definitely a business.